Oh shit, my lights aren't on. No wonder it's so dark in here. Oh my god. What if I forgot to watch the movie and do my notes? Hold on, I got this. I'll just read the book real quick. I'm sure it's the exact same thing. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That is the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I'm going to be one of your co-hosts.
And I'm your other co-host, who usually says a theme-appropriate and clever thing here, but I don't know what to say tonight. But I can tell you my name's Distance.
And tonight is the Metacast movie show about Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. Without Remorse is a 2021 action film directed by Stefan Sollima, screenplay by Taylor Sheridan and Will Staples, and of course based on Without Remorse by Tom Clancy.
It stars Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Bell, Jodie Turner-Smith, Guy Pearce. And the tomato meter rating is 43% with an audience score of 45%.
Fuck those critics, though. Like, what? Damn, I should have believed that.
But the audience, though, they
don't, well, they're just critics too. I mean, if we rated it, we would be in the audience score, right? Like, we're somehow not critics, though. We're just critics that don't get paid. We're amateur critics, and that's what an audience is.
We're the people's critics.
Well, Without Remorse is a modern reimagined version of the 1993 Tom Clancy novel of the same name. The story follows Senior Chief John Kelly, who is a Navy SEAL focused on getting revenge after his pregnant wife is murdered as retaliation for a mission that he took part in a few months prior. This was my first impressions of this. It is a decent action movie. Michael B. Jordan played a good role in it. I didn't really have any problems with his performance. I did have some problems with the movie itself, but I don't think that was really anyone's fault as far as the actors go. There was a little bit of weak screenplay, in my opinion. There was a few major cut the bullshit moments, and I really hate when those happen and it takes me out of the immersion of a scene. That, like, especially a movie that is supposed to be somewhat grounded in reality. This isn't some superhero movie where I can just write things off to like magic that doesn't happen in the universe. So there are just like a few moments of this that was like, all right, what's going on here? But with that being said, I mean, it is an action movie. It's a decent action movie. I enjoyed it for what it is. It kept me, engaged. I wasn't bored while watching it. I did want to continue it. I was never like trying to get away from it. But with that being said, the movie did feel like felt like one big prelude to Rainbow Six. And I think that's basically, according to like the contract that Michael B. Jordan and everything signed, I think that's really what this is. So with like
spoilers. That's
not a spoiler.
It's a spoiler.
That is like public contract knowledge. That has nothing to do with the movie. That's just like if you read about him, he signed a contract for 2 movies. The second which is called Rainbow Six.
I'll just give you a hard time.
Okay. I was like, this is supposed to be spoiler free. Fuck. But yeah, so it did feel like a lot of the movie was set up. It felt like the first half of Batman versus Superman, where it's like, all right, I know this is going somewhere. I really hope it gets there quick. And it turns out the place where it's going is probably going to be in the next movie. So, but with that being said, it's definitely not horrible. I'm trying to stall because I actually don't have a verdict picked yet. Okay. I'm gonna give this movie a no. I feel like I have to be honest. It's not great. It is fine. If you want something to put on, it's not going to be horrible. But as far as recommending it to you, the general audience, I don't feel like I can do that, honestly. So yeah, probably one to skip for me, in my opinion. Where do you land on this one?
This movie to me is kind of like, this weird crossover here. Immanuel Kant, the philosopher, wrote a book called Foundations of the Metaphysics of Morals. And because it's such a difficult subject, he never wrote anything other than the introduction. And so I kind of feel like we're sort of seeing the same thing here, that it's like I kind of get the vibe that it was sort of an intro to RB6. I think, though, if you already know without reading anything that this is a Rainbow Six introduction, then you might be the kind of person that would watch this movie, because I feel like if you're a big fan of the novels, you just kind of have to see the movies. I feel like it was like that for Harry Potter. It was like that for Twilight. Yep. Maybe not Dark Tower, or realistically almost any movie made out of a Stephen King book, except for maybe like two.
It 1 and It 2.
Yeah.
It chapter 1 and It chapter 2. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. And a third if you want to count the original. But it's like, it's for an action film. Like, I thought there was some good. It's weird though, because I'm a sucker for good dialogue. When we did Blade Runner, I called the monologue at the end of the movie, I called it, I believe I used the word gorgeous. I love good dialogue. Yeah. And there was some good dialogue in here.
I agree.
Yeah. And some good deliveries. And there was also some garbage dialogue with actors who are desperately trying to deliver it well, who are actually good at their jobs. Fucking Guy Pearce is in this movie. Yeah. I mean, Michael B. Jordan's no slouch, and honestly, neither is Jodie Turner-Smith. I mean, really, everyone's good.
True.
But yeah, it's a lot, because everything I have to say is for an action film. So yep. I like the action. It's awesome. The fight scenes are great. They do some of like the silly action film badassery, like where they do silly things. There's an awesome wrestling move, a fireman's carry, and like a fight scene in the stairs if you like wrestling.
Good gunplay. I mean, it's no John Wick, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the physicality is fantastic. But it's just not like, it's a good action film, but I agree with Ty, it's not a good film. So unless you're like a huge fan of the books, or you just really want to see Michael B. Jordan in a starring role, which that's the reason why I watched it, I would say no on this one. Maybe just pass. If your time means something and you're not just a lover of action films or Tom Clancy, maybe not.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Well, how do we bring out? I have no interesting way to bring out Spoiler Terry for this one, so we'll just let him come out and he can ruin this. Let you know that it's definitely a Rainbow Six movie.
Do you want to cap him afterward?
No, he's already out of here. I already got rid of him. You got me last week with like you making it hard work on myself. Like, you were so right. Whenever I went to actually edit that, I was like, fuck, how do I do this? I had no idea how to make a harpoon. Like, yeah, it was not easy.
Stretch goals.
Yeah. But yeah, all right, so let's get into like some of the actual details of this movie. I guess there's not much you can spoil. So like spoiler alerts will probably be later, yeah. But so I did my first note here at the very beginning. So talking about like some of the good dialogue, I love that there was actually just good cheesy dialogue too. Like I actually really enjoyed the "I'm more of a smartass, he's the badass" line. Like that, it's cheesy, but it was like it just worked for an action movie. It was perfect. Like,
that one was fun. I agree.
One thing that really stood out to me, and in the very beginning had me completely questioning what year it was supposed to be, because I knew the actual book took place in Vietnam. The original story of Without Remorse, John Kelly is like, it's in Vietnam, and it's a completely different story. Like, as we talked about, this is a reimagined version of it. But even in the very beginning, I don't understand why the team wasn't wearing like GP NVGs. Like, they should have had 18s on. They weren't wearing quad nods, and I don't understand why. It was like, it just seemed like they were like not wearing the right equipment for what a team would have.
I don't know what any of that shit means.
Well, you've seen the
I know the night vision goggles. That's it.
The like industry standard night vision goggles now, they have the 4 tubes, so you actually have peripheral vision. Like they're like $42,000, but that's what like soldiers would wear, because you actually have like, you have full peripheral vision rather than looking through like a tube. And it seemed like it in the beginning. I thought it was supposed to be like maybe in the past, and I was trying to figure out like what time it took place, and it like, ended up being 2019. And I guess like it threw me off that they weren't wearing like what I thought would be the industry standard equipment there.
I'm looking at people wearing these. They look like bad guys from a video game.
And when you flip them up, they look like antlers. You just have these 4 like tubes sticking up on your helmet, but
then they look like big bad guys from a video game.
That was when recently I was having to do some work in the warehouse and all the lights were off. I ended up like tripping over something and falling. So I tried to see if the company would possibly buy me a set of those. So if I had to do, and they turned it down though. We're not going to spend $42,000 on a set of night vision goggles, but it was worth a shot, right?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, as they say. Oh God, was that a cheesy movie line? It was. We're fired.
No, that was actually that's a line from The Office. That is a quote from
Michael Scott?
That's a Michael Scott original. Well, the actual quote is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, quote Michael Scott. It's Michael Scott quoting Wayne Gretzky.
I really hate that show. So like, and actually that might have compromised my credibility as a movie talker, but whatever.
Possibly, yeah.
There were a couple things like just like gun person stuff that he does, like when he realizes there's intruders in his home, he does a little movie press check thing to make sure there's a round in his pistola.
Yep.
But it's like, I feel like he would just know already. I mean, maybe it doesn't hurt to check, but
you should know. Yeah, I would still check too. You know.
I
mean, that happened the other day whenever like someone wanted to see my rifle, so I took it off the wall and like I dropped the mag and knew there wasn't something chambered, but still just made sure like 3 times. Like it's still like,
well, for checking it's empty. Yeah. Like quadruple check that shit.
But I would say if you think you're walking into a possible combat situation, that's as important to double check. Like what if the last time you put that specific pistol away, you didn't chamber a round, and the first time you go to shoot, you hear the loudest click ever, and
then the loudest nothing ever. So and then he did like the little old school like FBI flashlight thing.
Yeah,
where he like that was kind of fun to see in like a new movie, I guess. The pregnant wife thing kind of slays the audience, but that's one of the problems I had in the movie. They didn't develop that relationship very much.
Yeah,
and Pam is like flat. She's a very, very flat character, and you don't get a lot of like you're not emotionally attached to that. Like that's because to me, this is a revenge film that turns into something else. And in a revenge film, you need to make the audience feel it. Like they have to want you to do that.
Yep.
And it's like I felt like, yeah, you need to do this. And like, oh my God, dude, his acting, the scene, I put it in my notes somewhere, where he loses his shit in the bedroom, like he goes back.
Yeah.
Like that shit was awesome.
Yeah.
Like he did a really good job of acting, upset. I think it was brilliant, but the problem is that it was incongruent with the way the audience feels.
My note, where I even had a note when he wakes up in the hospital and asks Karen just about the baby. I like my note right below that is Michael B. Jordan is a fucking good actor. Like he is really able to command the screen and show emotion. Like, yeah, he's fucking great. But no, you're 100% right though. All they needed was like a 5-minute cut from like, you've seen the beginning of Up. You don't have to show us their whole relationship, but yeah, just give us like enough of a montage that there's some reason to care. There was like, of course it's the pregnant wife, we should care, but if we don't see enough of that as an audience, I don't think that I don't think they're able to create the weight there. Yeah,
like as an audience member, I was upset at the idea of what happened, but I didn't feel immersed in the situation.
Yep.
That's kind of where I was with that one. I didn't realize that Guy Pearce was in this one, by the way. When I saw him, I got real excited.
Yeah, I did not expect that either. Yeah, when he was on, it took me like half a minute too. I was like, holy shit, is that Guy Pearce? Like he was on screen for a while before I even put it together, but yeah.
It took me a minute too. There is one movie cheese moment that I did not like. It's a cliche that you hear in movies. It's a thing that people don't usually say. It's the term, and you know it, after making a statement. You see it in bad movies all the time. there's a scene where Greer, she says, my men were not dirty and you know it.
Yeah.
It's very unnatural, and I don't know why people still put that term in movies. It's a common like bad movie line. You hear it a lot in like crappy movies.
I feel like a lot of the like really bad mid 2000s Steven Seagal movies I've seen, that's just peppered in there a whole bunch. Like that kind of like bad action movie. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's rare that actual people say that to like I don't know. It just seems unnatural. It sounds unnatural when people say it. And if I were an actor, I would probably ask the question like, do I have to say this at the end?
Oh my God, what movie did someone say, and you know this, man? I think that's actually from Half Baked. I think that's a Dave Chappelle line from Half Baked. But that is such a better version of and you know it. But yeah. But I mean, honestly, I thought a good amount of the interactions between Ritter and Greer were kind of cringy. Like that scene where she approached, like some of that, like I knew they had to establish him as like the possible bad guy and stuff, and they had to like make it seem like he was, involved or setting things up in a bad way or things like that. But it's that for two good actors, it just felt like they were given some dialogue that like I swear they were doing the best with what they had. But yeah, those scenes felt really cringy.
Yeah, I don't know, like I don't really know, I don't recognize Jamie Bell from anything else.
I feel like I knew his face, but I don't know what I know him from. I've got his I was trying to go to his IMDb and that's his Wikipedia. What is he most known for? Shit, he was in Billy Elliot. Oh my God.
Oh fuck.
Oh, dude. He was also in, you remember the really bad that we don't talk about, the 2015 Fantastic Four movie? He was the Thing. I mean, like you can't really tell because he was like, he was the guy that became the Thing. He was Ben Grimm the entire time. He was in Snowpiercer too. Holy shit.
Oh fuck, what role did he play in that?
That's
Edgar. A good movie.
Yeah, he was Edgar in Snowpiercer.
Okay, well, apparently I just need to pay more attention to actors.
He does kind of have one of those faces though. He's not very distinct. Like he kind of just, fades into the background a lot. Oh shit, he was also in Jumper. Actually, I actually liked Jumper. I know that's kind of like a cheesy movie, but yeah, I actually kind of like that one.
I'm a fan. I like it a lot. There's I'm trying to think here. Oh yeah. Have you actually been to the Washington Dulles airport?
I actually don't know. Is that the only one in Washington?
Yeah.
Then yes, but sure. As a layaway, like I haven't really, I landed, I like went through one of the areas where there was a shit ton of like kiosks and stuff you could buy. I remember seeing like, that's the one where there's like a huge area with flags from every country, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't been there in a while, but it was the same for me. I had a layover there, and when he starts like fucking shit up in the Washington Dulles airport, I just tapped out in my notes really quick. Washington Dulles is a shitty airport anyway. I just don't like it. It's not. I don't get a good feeling being in the airport. It's no O'Hare and it's no CLA.
Yeah.
Or CLT. I mean.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely not an IAH or an LAX. It's just not an airport that does it for me. And if you'd like to listen to our airport podcast,
next year we're switching gears and reviewing an airport each week.
It's going to be airports.
We'll do it live from the airport. We're going to travel around, and each episode will be in the hangar of that airport. Look forward to that.
Yeah, you're going to have information about the baggage claim, the TSA agents, the security checkpoints, all of it. Yeah. Very thorough.
One of the parts that it like kind of cracked me up early, but I knew it. It's not actually funny to laugh at, but the first member of the team that we see get hit by the van, it's like as he's walking out, I'm like, why do I feel like something bad is going to happen to him? It's like, oh, okay, that's why.
And that shit was brutal. That scene was a yikes. Like I felt that shit. It's like for all the things that I didn't feel as an audience member, I felt that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a good amount that was done well in this. Like, it's not, I mean, I know that we both gave it a no, but it's like, it's not a horrible movie by any means. Yeah, there was definitely some good parts.
There's good parts, but generally it's not something that, I mean, I didn't feel enthused about it. Like I watched it and I was like, that was okay. Like that was fine.
That's what, like, I almost feel like possibly for next year, if maybe go with actually 3 choices. Like, instead of just a binary yes or no, like, would it make sense if there was, like, actually, like, a middle ground that's, like, more of a, maybe, you know, like, because there's a lot of movies that I feel like yes is too strong and no is too strong. But
I feel like we're just people that are. I think sometimes we see too much gray area. I feel like we're kind of nuanced to a fault. So I feel like it's good for us as people to have to give a binary answer.
Okay, I can feel that.
Like, but maybe it doesn't matter what's good for us as people. It probably matters more like what we think is good for our audience. So we might be more value to our audience without doing a binary answer.
Well, like in all reality, I kind of like, I stole it from another movie review that I saw where they had see it, stream it, or skip it. And I liked how it was like there was a middle ground where like it's not worth going to see in the theaters, but if it's on HBO, like sure, watch it. Like that, I kind of liked that idea, but yeah.
Well, okay, you know what? If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments below if you think we should go to like a third choice or a scale or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll just figure out what you guys want and we'll just make it whatever works best for you.
We will do exactly what you want us to.
It's kind of what we're here for.
No,
sort of.
Right before it, so I mean, you brought up the scene like with the, you know, of course the pregnant wife dying and everything, but before that there was the super heavy-handed foreshadowing of like, now don't stay downstairs all night listening to music, you know. It's like, all right, like what's gonna happen here?
Yeah, it's like, well, why don't you just show footage of him sitting downstairs all the don't tell them, show them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the moment that I saw that, I was kind of like, I don't know. It was a little much. It was not a necessary line, and I really wish that when writing a movie, people wouldn't do stuff like this. It's like, do you guys even watch movies?
Well, see, and it does make me wonder sometimes, though, like, I haven't, you know, I've never tried to create a movie. I've never gone through all the, like, the logistical back end process of that. But there is possibility, or in my mind, it's possible that the script had something that showed us that. And for the interest of time, that had to be cut out and condensed to one line. And, like, maybe that was the compromise. Like, but it makes me wonder, like, a good script, in my opinion, would not start with the writer just being like, all right, now we're going to do this now. Like, we're going to tell them, hey, don't stay downstairs, listen to music all night.
He's downstairs. It's dark. He has big ass like headphones on.
Yeah,
like we saw it right there. Like it is there.
I thought you meant like leading up to that, showing us that that's like a habit of his. Like you know, like that's what I thought you were saying. But yeah, no, exactly. They could have just skipped that line completely. Yeah,
it doesn't matter to the audience if it's a habit. It just matters if it's happening right then.
True. Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
Of course, you know, maybe then the conversation we'd be having now is, why was he doing that? Like, what was he doing downstairs in the dark listening to music all night? I mean, I don't know, maybe. So the fight scene in the prison cell, dude.
That was a good scene.
I understand why he removed his shirt and wet himself, like to make him slippery, so people couldn't grab him. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why it was necessary to flood the floor.
I didn't get that either.
Was he because you're trying to make it slippery for people, but these people are probably wearing like steel toes or boots that have really good grips on them anyway, that are designed to not slip.
Yep.
So I didn't really understand it. It seemed like a very like Home Alone scene, like wet bandits, the wet bandits. Like
if he had a paint can that just slung out of nowhere and caught the first guy in the face, yeah, that would have made it way better. But
or a hot iron, like a tarantula crawling on his face.
I would have hated this movie. Oh my God.
And if you haven't seen Home Alone, you really should get very drunk and then watch it, because that's the only way to tolerate it as an adult.
Have you seen Home Alone 2 in years?
It's been a long time. That's a New York one, right?
Yeah, I watched it recently. I totally forgot Trump was in that. Like I watched.
He's in it?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's like it came out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God, this dude is now. Well, I mean, it was months ago when I watched it. I was like, this dude is now the president, and he was in Home Alone 2. That's
There's one thing that I really, really, really liked about this movie, from kind of an action perspective, mm-hmm. is that there's a lot of movies featuring seals where they don't have like a really impressive like water action scene.
Yeah.
because like the first training thing they do after they get in is basic underwater demolitions, which implies that they're going to be doing water stuff a lot. And I think they're kind of the go-to for like aquatic type stuff. I mean, they are part of the Navy. So the scene where the plane crashes and Kelly's like, I got to get the gear. And Greer's like, it's fine. We don't need it. And he's like, I got to get it because I'm the star of the movie.
What's his line? Like, there's no mission without the gear, which I mean, makes sense, but yeah.
What he meant was there's no revenge without the gear.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can see that. That's crystal clear, right?
Yeah.
And you got to love the foreshadowing. Well, not the foreshadow. They say that when he says death follows me around on the plane, he says that.
Yeah.
You kind of think that he's either going to prove that right or prove it wrong. And I guess it was prove it wrong in this case. But the fact that he did like a very epic, like,
right. I mean, kind of both though, because John Kelly did die, right?
That's true. And then one of the members of their group ended up dying, right?
True. Yeah.
But it's like, I just love the fact that there is like, you know, the complication of finding air pockets and breathing. And even when he inhales the air pocket on the roof of the plane, you see the air pocket actually go into his mouth.
Yep. Yeah.
Like that was actually him breathing. Like that was pretty cool, like to see, and just really hardcore swimming and the ability to hold your breath for that long. Cause I was sitting there thinking like, can seals really hold their breath for this long? It seems like they probably trained that,
I'm sure it's part of the training. Yeah.
I would like to mention something. Hold
on, Navy. There's a requirement. Navy SEALs must be able to hold their breath underwater for at least 2 minutes. In addition, they must perform this feat without producing bubbles. So not only 2 minutes, but 2 minutes without exhaling bubbles too. Yeah.
Because someone could like see them, right? If they see the bubbles coming up.
Yep.
Dude, I kind of want to try to hold my breath for 2 minutes. Can you vamp for 2 minutes?
Only if you do it actually underwater and actually. Never mind. I think that might be TOS. If you try to like hold your breath underwater on stream.
Get a bucket.
We get a hot tub. Haven't you heard? Hot tub streams are the thing, man. We just need to get a hot tub going.
Actually, yeah. I mean, let's.
That would actually be an amazing reason to do a hot tub stream, that you were trying to like learn to hold your. Well, I guess hot tubs always have bubbles, so that wouldn't be the best part for that.
Oh yeah. That's true. Well, I mean, it would make it easy for me to cheat. Like those bubbles weren't mine.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's something that I wanted to mention that I don't know how it will be received, but in 2016, the application process was actually opened up to women for the Navy SEALs, and I think there's a few people that have passed like the sort of that have passed like the kind of initial process. I think there was someone in 2019. They decided that she actually wasn't selected, but I'm pretty sure she went through Hell Week. But she didn't make it to the actual basic underwater demolitions training, which
I see an article here. Yeah, the first woman has made it through SEAL officer screening. Okay.
So she made it through the screening process, but she wasn't actually selected for the team. So, hey, ladies, I know there's a few males out there that can do this. It means there's a few females out there that can do this. So get after it, y'all.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
That's fucking cool. Yeah. I actually had no idea. When you brought it up earlier, though, like it is interesting. Like the SEALs are, I mean, they are Navy. They are like, I mean, the name SEAL, I mean, I don't think is it about the animal, or is it just kind of a coincidence?
I think it's an acronym.
I thought so. Yeah.
Their secret salute or.
But okay. So why was it SEAL Team 6 that killed Bin Laden? Like that's nowhere near water, right? Like that was like a helicopter drop-in mission. Like
it means Navy, Sea, Air, and Land teams.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then, because it went from air to land.
I guess they just put the E in there, so it. Oh yeah, SEA. Yeah, so they use the first two letters of C.
Okay.
Sea, Air, and Land. So they're intended to do all of that, but I think that in the book, because like the career path for a SEAL, you get through Hell Week, you get through all the training, you join the teams, you do some missions, you retire, then you write a book. That's just what they all do now. They write books.
Hold on, you skipped the whole career as a PMC. A lot of them go into private military, right?
Do they? I could see that. I'm sure a lot of people probably do. I mean, it's just because like you've done it for so long, and it seems like it would still be fun because I understand that private military contract work is a little more glamorous. Like you make a lot more money.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think on average you get paid about 5 times more than what the soldiers are paid to do basically the same job. Yeah.
And from like the books I've read and stuff, different like SEALs talking about it, that the water is like they're supposed to be more at home in the water than any other branch of the military outside of like people in submarines.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're like under but they're in a vessel.
Yeah.
But it's like if water is a part of it, then they're supposed to be like the go-to for it. But they do all kinds of shit. I mean, like Task Unit Bruiser was in Ramadi, Iraq, and there's no fucking water anywhere out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
more oil than water. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the subject of PMCs, if you played the video game Escape from Tarkov, in which you can play as a PMC, Ty also does some content for that. He's got a great show called Wholesome Tarkov that you should check out on Tyla TV on YouTube. So watch that. I might be on a couple episodes in the future, maybe. But right now it's just him and how old is mom? She's 64.
64, yeah.
It's him and his 64-year-old mom playing.
She's Mama Bear 64 and I'm Bear Cub 33.
Yeah. So if you play the game and you happen to kill 2 people and you see their tags, then that's the 2 of them. Yeah. And so, you
should feel like a monster too for doing that.
Yeah. Feel free to stream snipe the guy if you want. So yeah, there's that. So I'm sorry. I just shamelessly plugged you for you.
I appreciate that. No, thank you. No, not at all, man.
There are a couple weird little things that I wanted to mention, like stuff that bothered me about the movie, which is these are the reasons why my girlfriend hates watching movies with me, particularly action films. The scene where where John confronts Ritter while they're actually in Russia.
Yeah, in their like little hideout area. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like someone that like uses firearms and like fights people professionally would not get super close to someone and press the muzzle against them. Because that gives a really easy way for that person to A, know where the weapon is, and B, manipulate the weapon if they want to, or like move it. Because the whole idea of a gun is that you're supposed to be able to be far away. And I would think that someone who's probably primarily more comfortable fighting with a firearm would not, it just doesn't make sense to me. You'd expect that he would grapple him a little bit before, and he does end up kind of grappling him at the end. But also, maybe there's like the weight to power ratio that the 2 guys had. Like perhaps he felt like he was more, what's the word? Formidable in the situation. I don't know. It just seemed like not realistic action to me for someone that does this stuff for a living.
Yeah. I'm just
a dude that like did jujitsu that has a couple guns. So like, I don't really know, but I would, the fact that he fires indoors at a metal structure.
Yeah.
Directly next to Ritter.
Yeah.
That was, I believe, that's a safety violation right there.
A little bit.
I understand that they needed to have the drama there. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe just the way that the room was shaped when they filmed. Maybe they had to film it right there. I get it, but that bothered me. Shooting a gun at a piece of looked like steel doesn't seem like a good idea, especially not that close to someone and yourself, where a bunch of your friends are standing around too. Doesn't seem like a good idea. Did you notice the scene when? And this is actually something I liked action-wise.
Hold on, can I bring up one that really bothered me while we're on that topic?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Bro. Yeah, bro.
How in the fuck did he get the secretary out of that bathroom? How did that happen? He approaches Clay in the bathroom of that restaurant, where right before they show the exposition shot of like Clay's at the bar. He stands up. You see 2 tables of what would be either like Secret Service or some sort of like security that he has. They stand up. He tells them to sit back down. Where was the exit from the bathroom? How did that happen? That made no sense.
I didn't think about it. Like the editing just fooled me. Like I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. They're in the vehicle. Who knew? But yeah, it's like, it's almost like they're like, you know what? We want to make John Kelly seem like a badass, but we have no idea how to make him get out of here.
Yeah.
So we'll just put him there and everybody can think that was amazing. Who cares what he did? It's like, yeah. That's a good point. I feel like I should have paid more attention there. I like a lot of the problems I have are maybe a little more straightforward than that, but good point.
That was my biggest kind of like cut the bullshit moment. I was like, all right, what happened there? Like trying to think logistically. I was like, was there a window?
Yeah.
They were like on the 3rd floor. Like what happened?
Yeah, that bathroom didn't look like it, because like how in movies every bathroom conveniently has like a tiny window.
Yeah. Of course.
That the protagonist can just barely squeeze through.
Yep. I was gonna say, especially if it's like an awkward date movie, like the guy or woman sneaks out of the window. That happens all the time.
Yeah, it's like you guys could have just done the window gag. Like with editing, you could have fooled us into thinking they were in the same bathroom if there wasn't one in the place where you filmed.
Yep.
But the scene where they're in the building looking at the guy that they're trying to take back with them, I forget the dude's name.
Yeah. What was his name?
Rykov.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That there's when he has his gun pointed at the guy, he's looking at him through the scope. He's actually breathing like he's about to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's doing exactly like the kind of breaths you do before you take like a long distance shot, like when you're hunting or something like that. And that when I heard him do that, I was like, he's gonna shoot that guy. And then and that's the thing, he was thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Like if you know anything about shooting long distances, you always exhale and you wait till you're at the very bottom of that breath before you go pink.
There was another really nice touch right after that scene that I like during that whole, like when the sniper was pinning them down and Karen flanks and goes into a room and her gun jams. I thought that was a really fucking nice touch. That like you don't see that a lot in action movies.
I did like that too. Like I think I put that in my notes too, that it actually malfunctions. Cause I was like, when that happened, I was like, is she out of rounds and doesn't know? I was like, I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I've never been in a fight with a gun before, but I'd feel like, a professional like soldier would know. I was like, oh no, it malfunctioned. The problem I have with it malfunctioning is that it's a Tavor.
Yes, it should have been an M4. That was what I had in my notes too. It's like the whole point of like the meme is that M4s are unreliable and everything. Like it should have been an M4 that jammed. Like,
and also those are supposed to be incredibly reliable.
Yeah.
But it would have been a funnier joke if it was like an M4. But he's carrying like some German whatever G36 or whatever. So it's like they got all this like weird like not because movie guns have to be cool, right?
Yeah. Which I mean, cool. But their M4s in the first scene were fucking cool, and I couldn't tell if it was an MP9 or an MP7 that someone was carrying, but that was cool too. Like, but they had M4s in the first scene,
dude. But in that scene, it wasn't the guns that were cool. It was the people that were carrying them. They were making them look cool.
True. That's fair.
I mean, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. But, I mean, I don't know. I just felt like those guys were just cool guys. Like, you could have put rubber chickens in their hands. I would have been like, man, those rubber chickens are badass.
It would be so hard to do that, but I want to go back and edit that now. It would be so cool to just have that whole scene with like edit in like with rubber chickens.
I mean, we could test my theory. We could get like a focus group and be like, do these guys look badass with these chickens? And that's something that I wanna mention too. Like, bro, Michael B. Jordan got huge for this movie. He got so big.
I mean, he's always been like. I would like to see him. This, like, I guess like this compared to Killmonger. I don't know if he's like, was he really that much big? I didn't notice.
That's what he played in Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
But also the kind of like the scarification stuff that they had, that kind of gives you like a different.
True.
We're obsessed with men's bodies here on the Metacast movie show. I just, in case you guys didn't know, I am interested to look at his Without Remorse workout, because this is a weird thing I always do. Like I see if I can find the workout people did. Michael B. Jordan's Without Remorse workout according to his trainer. Let's see what he did.
I feel like a lot of times it has to do with some supplements they may or may not be taking, but
yeah, I mean, it is pretty impressive to get in incredible shape right before a movie, like almost like elite athlete shape without actually being an elite athlete.
Well, it's like elite athlete shape with literal almost bodybuilder levels of body fat. And like dehydration and everything. Like, yeah, you're really in like almost like stage form at that point. But yeah.
All right. So what he did for this role is lifted weights.
Oh, that's I would not have expected that. But yeah.
He did deadlifts, rowing machine, bench press, squats.
Yeah.
Military press. He just did regular weightlifting and just
And ate right and took his vitamins.
Yeah. You want to look like Michael B. Jordan, just do that stuff. And maybe other stuff that we would not endorse on our channel. Okay. Yeah. But it was, there's a couple, and part of it is like, I can't, this is weird, but those outfits that they have where like, it's sort of like a darker, like cotton or wool. And then like it goes over the shoulders with like the camouflage. One of the reasons why I wear baseball shirts is because they make my shoulders look broader and I'm tiny. So like, I think that might be one of the reasons, because it was one of the scenes where he's wearing one of the shirts. I'm like, oh my God, like he's so big. But hey, I mean, you know, no matter what, good work, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sure it was really difficult and you put in a lot of effort. Speaking of physical training,
definitely worth it. Yeah.
Are you aware that during a portion of the physical part, Jodie Turner-Smith was actually pregnant?
I did not know that. No.
They started doing the physical training, I guess, like a year or so before the film actually was released.
Huh.
She had her child on April of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So they did. So she called that. She said the training wasn't, quote, straightforward since she was pregnant, but she was actually doing stuff while she was pregnant.
That's cool.
I don't know like what that entailed, but then I guess she just had to kind of catch up to the rest of the actors who had been doing the training nonstop without taking a break. So good job for you too, Jodie Turner-Smith.
Yeah, I'm sure that was not at all easy. Yeah, geez.
People just oftentimes take for granted what people look like on film, and it's not sustainable. Like, this is stuff that you just do for the movie. You look like that, and you know, maybe aren't even really all that healthy, even though you look enormous. And then you just go back to being normal afterward, you know, instead of whatever weird shit. Like, if you ever hear Hugh Jackman talk about what he ate during the X-Men films, especially the Wolverine ones.
Yeah, I mean, he got into ridiculous shape for some of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can I talk about one part that like I had it earlier in my notes that I hated it? It was my least favorite line of dialogue, and they actually came back and fixed it later. I love that, like, early in the movie, Michael B. Jordan makes this analogy where he says, I'm going to show them what a pawn can do to a king. And it was like, as someone who plays a little bit of chess, I was like, okay, so a pawn can actually never capture a king unless it's supported by either another stronger piece or another pawn. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And then later he finally, like, it comes around where someone's like, yeah, pawns can never kill a king. It's like, all right, thank you. Like, finally, like, someone pointed that out.
Well, it's kind of cool that there's like that the analogy kind of works in all the ways too.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, thinking you can, but you actually can't. Thinking you are and realizing you're not.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was kind of cool. And there was a moment where they said that. I took it completely as a figure of speech.
Yeah.
But I'm not good enough at chess to ever get to the point where I could be deluded into being in a position where I'd try to capture a pawn. Or capture a king with a pawn. I would never even try it. So I wouldn't have gotten to the point where like I'd know whether or not it would work. I do, man. Actually, I actually became a little upset when the enemy snipers that were trying to, I guess, sort of stage this foreign relations disaster started shooting the cops.
Yeah,
like they shot one. I was like, oh.
Well, but then okay, so I know that they kind of have to at that point. Like those cops are also enemies. You need to get out of that situation. But like, weren't the team also throwing grenades and shooting back at the cops? Like, that's also like, those are people just doing their job. Like, that was one moment that felt like it was like, this has to be just for the greater good, I guess. Like,
well, you know, in the action films where they'll say stuff like, if I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead. You know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
I feel like if Kelly wanted to shoot them, he would have.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think if he wanted to blow them up, he would have.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I don't know a lot about throwing grenades, but it doesn't seem like it would be easy to get one on top of a police car from a building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to, well, hey, look, you know what? Don't tell them, show them. We've talked on several occasions, made the joke about the only character development you got in a 90s action film was when someone said about or to the protagonist, you're the best. Yeah. So they showed us that John Kelly is the best.
True. I mean, that's true.
So I'm glad they didn't tell us, but it seems, I feel like he was shooting at them, but didn't intend to hit them. But he was also firing pretty wildly. So, you know, I mean, it's like, got to do what you got to do. Because, you know, it's like, you know, if you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few people.
Yeah.
So so Russia and the U.S. go to war, or a few people might get shot. It's not pleasant to shoot somebody, I'm certain, but full on war between two big ass countries is not good for anyone, really.
But to me, it was almost like that same greater good mentality was kind of like exactly what was going on. And, you know, it's like, it's kind of like in one side, you're disagreeing with that as someone on the side of the protagonist. And then it becomes like, when you're in that situation, it's like, oh, well, for the greater good, we have to do this. It's like, well, wasn't that what was going on earlier? Kind of like,
well, if we're talking about human lives, their perspective was a few people have to die so a shitload more people can die.
True. Yeah, true. Yeah. Which is not, I mean, it was not the best. You're right.
Their situation is like one or two people maybe get wounded that we're not trying to kill on purpose, or I mean, Russia and the United States is not good for the world. Like the two countries going to war is not good for anybody.
True. Yeah.
I will say though, I did kind of complain a little bit about Pam not being developed and the relationship not being developed. I did think it was a nice touch in the film where the one SEAL that gets shot, as he's basically sitting there bleeding out, the other SEAL asks him, "Do you have kids?" He's like, "You got kids?" And then he's sitting there. I believe he even might say his kid's name. And then the dude just kind of dies right there.
Well, he says, what do you want me to tell them? And he just says, tell them I love them, and then tell them, and then he just dies in the beginning of the middle of the next sentence. Yeah.
They did a good job in just a few seconds, really, of making that character matter just a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
I thought that was kind of cool.
One thing, real quick, I don't want to get too far past Pam. I did think it was interesting. I found out that so in the original book, as we talked about, it's very different from this story. It takes place actually in Vietnam. In the book, Pam was someone that John meets up with, and a hitchhiker. He picks up a hitchhiker named Pam, and she's kind of like the co-protagonist through it was a very different story. His wife was actually I forget what the name of his wife was originally, but I thought that was kind of cool that they kept the name Pam, but kind of like shifted the roles and everything. Like they did a lot to like pay homage to the original story while like making it, you know, modernized and everything.
Yeah, I think that because I don't really do any research on the book. It sounds, based on what you're saying, it sounds like making a closer version of the book might have actually made a better film. But I understand that they want to kind of make it a little more relevant to now. And there's a few like social commentary portions of the film that wouldn't have been possible if they'd done this in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So I get like why they kind of updated it, but based on what you're saying.
And also too, though, it's just like the Rainbow Six movie would be way cooler modern day. You don't want a Rainbow Six team that would be in like the 80s or so if it followed the Vietnam story. So it's like, you want them to have the most modern equipment possible for that movie. So it makes sense to modernize it. Yeah,
we can't have Rainbow Six with 1980s haircuts. Oof. Oh no. No.
I more meant the gear, but I think you're right about the haircuts too.
They'd be wearing like parachute pants, listening to "Can't Touch This."
Dude, Michael B. Jordan with some crazy Jerry curl going on, and like one of the dudes with a mullet would have been great. Like,
I mean, his hair in Black Panther was pretty 80s.
True. That's pretty true.
Yeah, it would have worked. Honestly, it could have. I did find it like kind of irritating that I couldn't figure out if he was going to die or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. You mean John?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I thought that they might do it. Like I thought that he was going to do the hero sacrifice thing, and he almost does. Then he keeps popping up, not dead.
I knew too much about it going in that was never even an I knew that he signed a contract for 2 movies. I knew that the second movie was Rainbow Six. I knew that John Kelly changed names to John Clark. So it's like I just like going into it. It's like I guess if I didn't know all of that, it probably would have been a better film for me, honestly.
Yeah, because a lot of it was usually if I figure stuff out about films, I usually do it after I watch it. But also depends like how much time I have before we film the episode and stuff. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the action stuff toward the end of the movie. I even mentioned this in the should you watch section. I like the fireman's carry he does in the stairwell where he basically picks the guy up over his shoulders and chucks him. And he does what we call it a choke, but vascular blood restraint like type choke with the sling of the guy's rifle.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a very interesting kind of like touch for the action. So I mean, the action directors in this film I think did a really good job of that stuff, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed about the movie was that sort of stuff. It's a little silly. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, one of the action parts that really bugged me was when he was during that main the scene we were just talking about where John goes up to the roof and kind of gives everyone cover while they get out, and then you're not really sure if he's gonna make it out. He basically was gonna sacrifice himself. As he's like coming down those stairs, though, the Russian soldiers are like, they definitely hired stormtroopers to play them. I don't understand how he's injured coming down the stairs. There's four soldiers holding the angle that he's coming from, and somehow they all just miss, and he's able to kill all of them. It was really weird.
He got shot in his left shoulder to the point where it compromised his ability to use his left arm. He's not even looking down the sights. He's just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like do 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 do, and like somehow hitting everybody. And those people, like, they looked like they were wearing really, really, really thick like armor and stuff too. Or maybe they were just huge guys. I don't know. There are. Because that's actually what I was going to mention is him being hurt. And like, because the guys couldn't, those guys couldn't shoot. They couldn't really fight. They were basically just standing there waiting for him to hurt them. That was kind of what they looked like. And then
like the dudes in the Bruce Lee movie that like he's fighting one guy and they all just stand back ready. Like,
did you ever see that Saturday Night Live sketch?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, where they're making fun of that. Yeah,
they showed like a clip of like a guy, and like all the little ninja guys that were fighting him are back in their little like headquarters, and like, guys, what if we all attack him at the same time?
That's crazy.
And a couple of them sit there and they're like, no, that'll never work.
You have to do it one at a time. Yeah, it's the only way.
But I guess it's just the repeated, like, is John going to sacrifice himself? Does John have nothing left to live for? Like when he's sitting at the bottom of that like body of water with what's it, Clay, the secretary Clay. And he's sitting there like looking at him. You're like, is he going to drown himself? And then here's the thing. I had no idea that, spoilers, I had no idea that this was a precursor to Rainbow.
Okay.
Like when he said, yeah, I'm going to start a group, multinational, blah, 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 Rainbow. And I was like, what? Rainbow Six origin? Oh!
Yeah. Since you played a good amount of Siege, like, was that kind of a hype moment for you? Like, did that feel cool or?
Yeah. I grew up, like, I played several of the Rainbow Six video games when I was a kid.
Okay.
Rogue Spear, I played. And then the more modern version, like the Siege type game. Yeah. But just like the books, like a lot of like the older guys like that I know, like some of my uncles and a few of the guys I work with really like Tom Clancy. And speaking of Tom Clancy, have you watched any of Jack Ryan, the series?
Yeah, with oh my god, I never pronounce his last name correctly. John Krakowski, is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it, but no, I've seen a few episodes. It looks good from what I've seen.
Yeah, well, the fact that they just straight up mentioned that Jim Greer is Karen Greer's uncle at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yep. In
And
the games you've played, like, is John Clark or Greer or any of those characters, do they show, like, I know Rainbow Six Siege is there's like almost like comic book style characters in that. They're like, you know, kind of like heavily stylized, right? In Siege.
Yeah, because Rogue Spear is the only one I played a lot when I was younger. And there wasn't really a lot of the story in there. It was mainly just missions and stuff that you did.
Okay.
Some of the newer ones I think actually had some more of like the plot in them, but I think a lot of them were just intended to be like just action games that were loosely based on the place that Rainbow Six happened, essentially using Tom Clancy's name to sell video games.
Yeah.
But there might be a few that actually follow the books, but I didn't play a lot of them. But I mean, there's tons of characters that have been adapted to video games from Tom Clancy stuff. What's his name from Splinter Cell? I forget the guy's name.
Oh,
but Ghost Recon is also like, I mean, there's a whole, there's like a Tom Clancy has like a logo, it's like Lucasfilm Limited, like
Sam Fisher.
Yeah, there you go, that guy. But I just got excited about it because I know a lot of people are into it. And a lot of the old guys that like I know or would be like super excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm excited about it. I think that is going to be I'm definitely going to watch that movie, and I'm 100% going to enjoy it.
And I mean, maybe it's kind of dorky, but like for me, it was the video games were how I know about Tom Clancy and like know about the kind of stuff he writes about. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like then like Jack Ryan, the couple movies. Well, I think Harrison Ford has played Jack Ryan.
Yes.
I think didn't Timothy Dalton play Jack Ryan?
Now I'm not sure, but I know in the original trilogy was like The Hunt from Red October and I forget what the other ones that were in that. But so during that mid credit scene though, where now Ritter's director and like you said he's talking about like he wants to start the team. I really don't like how Ritter asks him why Rainbow, and his response is it's personal. I feel like, because from what I understand, the team was called Rainbow just because it is a multinational team from people from all over the world and everything. But like, I feel like they're gonna make it to where like his unborn daughter's name was gonna be Rainbow, and that's why the team, like something like. God, I hope not. I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like they didn't set that up, but it's like, why did he say it's personal? I hate that they hinted that there's some sort of personal reason that it's like I don't know. I'm hoping that it's not going to be something like that.
I think that maybe it would be cool if they stuck to sort of whatever the narrative is. Mm-hmm. But because there was not enough character development for my taste in this movie, I kind of like that they might give you an idea that the name really is personal, because it does develop him as a character, tells you a little bit about him, depending upon why. But it's
a little too late in my opinion, but still true. Yeah. It's
still like, it is kind of like, really though. I still kind of get that feeling from it. It does seem a little silly to me.
One other thing that I really enjoyed about this that I thought was fucking great. Did you notice who did the music? Fucking Jonesy did the music for the movie. The
what, really?
Yeah, the lead singer and guitarist from Sigur Rós. Yeah, he's gotten into like scoring movies and everything, and he did the music for this. I'm hoping he's gonna be back for the sequel.
And if you guys are wondering how to spell the name of that group, it's Sigur with a space, and then it's RO, and I think there's an accent mark over the O. Sigur Rós. Some people pronounce it differently, but I think that's how you're supposed to say it.
I know it means Rose of Victoria or Victoria's Rose in Icelandic, but yeah, they're really, really cool Icelandic chill band.
Yeah. Speaking of music, we also do another show together with our friend Craig and Ty's dad, John, called the Metacast Music Dudes. So if you're interested in music stuff, we kind of do this sort of format where one person presents some music, the other of us rip apart the person's opinions, and then decide if we want to hear another song. So if you like music, check that out.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we do it. That's only a monthly show, so it's a little more rare, but it is it's a lot of fun to do though. I'm really enjoying doing that.
Same.
I have actually one more section, and so the theme that really stood out to me in this, we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but like the whole idea of there being a greater good. the idea that there are like sacrifices that need to be made sometimes to like work towards something that person deems is worth it. And it is like, to me, it did stand out that like it's Secretary Clay, who, you know, spoiler alert, ends up being the big bad guy, but like he was basically working towards a greater good that he believed. You know, it's the same idea that like Reagan had in that I forget which speech it was, but when Reagan talked about like if there was an extraterrestrial threat, we would probably see a lot of the disagreements that humans have between each other around the world disappear because we would unite for a common enemy. And I feel like that's like what Clay was trying to go for, is this idea of like, can we unite against this common enemy and that is the idea of a greater good, but it is like he was definitely willing to sacrifice a lot of pawns along the way to get there. And that is like, you know, is the juice worth the squeeze is kind of the question that you have to ask. But it did seem like that theme at least stood out to me quite a bit. And
yeah, there was a lot of that in here, and it kind of gives you that like the psychological like thought experiment, you know, the trolley test.
Yeah.
And that in some situations, someone who only thinks logically would probably do better in the situation instead of doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's the reason why it's a thought experiment, because you only can really think about it.
It would be very unethical to do that as anything but a thought experiment. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
You ready for movie crush? Or you got anything else in there?
Oh no, man, nothing else. That's all for me. I think I hit all the points I wanted to on this one.
So I'm almost positive we had to both pick the same movie crush, because I do feel like it.
What?
Oh, what's up?
You know what? Let me hit one more thing that I found irritating about this movie.
Oh, please.
The mirror trick with the sniper.
Yeah.
I hate it when they do that in movies. There's like they use the mirror to like. It's cool if you use a mirror to like blind somebody. It's still a little much, but it's the fact that he used the mirror to like see the person, and like I don't know how realistic that actually is. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I digress.
I do think that's fair. It is like, it definitely feels like it would be safer. I would rather stick my hand out with a mirror than my head, but at the same time, like I do feel like the sniper zeroed properly that knows his shot is not gonna miss at that point. Like he could just take your hand off. Like,
and even then, with a tiny piece of glass, how much can you really see? You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's just the little mirror thing was silly to me.
And plus, not to mention a real, like a sniper positioned properly is actually going to be recessed far enough back into the room that like you're not going to see him just in the window. Yeah. So like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to just easily tell which window, but that's true.
Yeah.
So my movie crush was definitely the sniper. So no, I'm just kidding. But no, so yeah, you go first too. Like I was saying, I feel like we almost had to pick the same person. I don't know if there's a real answer.
I mean, there's really only two choices that I can see in this film. For me, like, come on, man, I just got to go with John Kelly, aka John Clark. I mean, why wouldn't you? Come on, it's the hero, self-sacrifice fella that dives into the burning plane to get the shit to me. Come on, guys. Yes, have a crush on that character.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Mine was actually in my notes. I did put John Clark, not John Kelly. I only have a crush on John Clark. John Kelly was all right, but John Clark I think really brought it together.
Yeah, I mean John Clark is a longtime bachelor, whereas John Kelly's a widower and baggage.
Exactly. See, you get it. All right, let's
say but Karen Greer was also, I think, an appropriate answer too.
I can
but also just wasn't featured that much in the film. That's the only reason why I went with John Kelly.
She did have the really cool redeeming moment where she did bring him the toe tags and knew that like that's going to get her in trouble, but it's like, again, the greater good, like willing to sacrifice a little bit of something for something you deem is worth it. So what was your favorite line? I think we determined this might be the same too, but
I thought, see, here's the problem. I had one, and then something you said about your favorite line made me think that was going to be the same as yours. So then I picked this one instead. But I think that maybe before I had a different favorite line, and now I have the same one.
All right. Well, are you going with favorite line version 1 or favorite line version 2?
I'm just gonna go with version 2
Okay.
because maybe it's not the one you picked. I don't know. This I picked because it's a bit of a social commentary moment, and it's by an actor I really like who didn't do a lot in the movie, but just had this one sort of part where he gets to be like, "Hey, camera, let me steal you," and that's really it. You know who won World War II? It wasn't the generals or the admirals. It was the economists. War, tanks, planes, and all that spending lifted this entire nation out of poverty, freed the world from tyranny. A big country needs big enemies. The best enemy we ever had was the Soviet Union. Our fear of them unified our people, gave us purpose. The problem today, John, is half this country thinks the other half is its enemy because they have no one else to fight.
That's a good one. God, I wish I would have picked that one. Can I just go back? Can I change my favorite line? That one's actually way better.
I mean, I'm no Guy Pearce. I might have.
No, that was
the best acting
good.
I could.
That was pretty good. Mine, I have now realized it is actually not my favorite line. Apparently that was my favorite line. I did not jot it down, but no, I did like my favorite line is of course by my movie crush. No. I think that I've shown that I'm willing to go farther than anyone to get this job done. Consider what I did in Dallas as an audition. Sir, if this guy's as bad as he says he is, then you need someone like me, and there's nobody like me. I just like that line. It's a cheesy action movie line, but he delivered it well. It fit the moment. Like it really stood out to me. I liked that one.
It is a little more subtle than just telling everybody you're the best, but it's still movie. But it's a good line. Like it's a good line for an action film.
But it also like it fit really well too because like in reality, because of the revenge thing, there was no one like him for that situation. Like if he thinks he's actually going after like revenge for that person that killed literally his wife and unborn child, like no one else is gonna have the like. Case in point, like the plane crash. He went for the gear because of the revenge, basically. Like, would anyone else had the passion to do that in that situation if it wasn't for that personal reason?
That's true.
Well, next episode. I have you seen anything about this movie yet that we're doing next week? Stowaway.
Oh, dude, I watched it.
You watched it already?
Is that on the list?
Yeah, that's the one for next week. Yeah.
Can we not do this one?
Well, what do you want to do instead?
I mean, I was actually watching this movie thinking about if I were to review this, what would let's. All right, you haven't seen it yet?
I have not. No, because I mean, we could look at what else is being released.
I didn't even realize it was on the list. I just was like,
well, hold on. Let's look. Hold on.
You know what? No, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm fine with it.
Or, actually, hold on. No, I've got to. Okay. Is this only theater though? Fuck. Never mind. I think that's only theater. Wrath of Man comes out. That is no streaming services though. That one would just be theater.
I got my shots.
I don't have the money. And then okay, so next week's The Woman in the Window. We're definitely doing that one. We got that one. Yeah, there's literally what is Monster? There's a Friday, May 7th release on Netflix called Monster. I have no idea what this is.
Dude, I feel like I saw that on our schedule, but just totally forgot.
No worries. It's all good.
Aesop Rocky. What? No way.
A group of scientists and immune soldiers must take an unknown commission from one city to another in a post-apocalyptic world. But on the way, they must take care of beings that mutated due to the contagion. Is this in... Hold on. No, this is I don't think this is in English. Yeah, it's a Chilean action horror. I also like I kept another movie off our list because it wasn't in English. It's not I hate like dubbed and subbed movies. They bother me a lot of the time. I feel like it's like really going to be tough for me to objectively review it.
Wait, what movie was that?
I was talking about Monster that comes out, but there was a movie called Oxygen that was coming out recently. Are you
talking about the one that's going to be on Netflix?
Yes. Monsters on Netflix that's Chilean, and then Oxygen is on Netflix that is French.
I'm looking at another one right now that's not any of what you just described.
Oh, hold on.
The date on this.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think you're right. With Kelvin. What is
this movie sounds interesting.
What? All right. What is it? What? Monster. Why can I not find an IMDb page for this?
Because
hold on. Because it came out in 2018, but it's it had its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in January 22nd, 2018, and it's scheduled to be released on May 7th, 2021 by Netflix.
I doubt very many people have seen this, and I think with a mainstream release on Netflix, it actually might be valuable to let people know if they should spend their time on it or not.
So the premise is Monster tells the story of Steve Harmon, a 17-year-old honor student whose world comes crashing down around him when he is charged with felony murder. I'm going to leave it up to you. Since you've already seen Stowaway, would you rather review Stowaway or would you rather review Monster?
This is funny. It's like, since you fucked up the next episode, let me give you the decision.
Yeah.
I do not. I don't even want to talk about Stowaway.
Really? Is it bad?
It's so awful. It's so
it looked
bad.
rough. It the trailer that I saw, it did not look great.
It's one of the worst things I've ever seen, and it sucks because there's so many good people in it.
Ooh,
let's just give you guys a free should you watch.
Yeah,
don't watch Stowaway.
Because
it's
I
garbage.
love. I mean, doesn't it have Anna Kendrick and Toni Collette in it? And
yes.
those are two great actresses.
That one guy from Lost is in there too. And
the main dude. Which guy from Lost?
I don't remember his name.
I'm probably still gonna watch this.
But like, my girlfriend is all about, like, she said, "Oh, Stowaway," and then I was like, "Oh man, one of these movies, like, oh, spacesuits. I know what this plot's gonna be." It wasn't what I expected, but it wasn't good. Like, it took about 30 minutes for it to even pick up. And like 15 minutes in, she was like, "I'm bored." I was like, no, let's give it a chance. Then we got to the end of the movie, and I just kind of looked at her, and I was just like, "I'm so sorry. We just wasted our lives on this." Daniel Day Kim, that's the guy's name.
Yeah, I love how apparently in the movie he plays David Kim. They just could they not think of another Asian last name for him? Like, you'll just be a Kim.
Yeah, we'll just make you that. Like first name John,
last name Clark.
Like,
let's do Monster then instead. I am definitely down with that. So next week we will be talking about Monster. With who are our stars in this? I don't recognize any of these names. Kelvin Harrison Jr., Jennifer L., Tim Blake. Yeah, I don't know any of them. But okay, he was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I like that movie. Yeah. Oh my God, A$AP Rocky's in this? Fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw when I Googled it. I was like, what? I'm always intrigued by rappers and movies.
Well, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you have enjoyed the content, please hit that like button, maybe subscribe, and you could comment below and tell us how you felt about Tom Clancy's Without Remorse.
If you think there's no one like us for the job, or if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, please join our Discord. The link is in the description below. We will be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylaTV.
Hey, thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week.